The following program is a production of West Virginia Public Broadcasting.
In Wheeling, there's a church that's accumulated over 225 relics.
I think the important thing to remember most about relic isn't really the relic itself, but who it puts us in touch with.
Join us as we explore some Catholic wonders of West Virginia.
This is Outlook, a reflection of our place, our time, and our people.
It's a relic of the true cross.
A first-class relic is something of the saint him or herself. So it's going to be bone, flesh. Second-class relic is going to be something that the saint used. Okay, it could be maybe the person's habit. Maybe it's going to be a prayer book that the person used a lot. Or maybe it's going to be the instruments of his or her death, the torture. Okay. A third-class relic is just trying to reach out to a broader class of people all through, and it's usually cloth that's taken and applied to the grave of or the body of the saint. So it has that, it's more by association, by touch. Okay, so it's a lesser class relic, but again, the whole thing is to put us in touch with this saint who helps put us in touch with living a life of holiness, living a life in the church, living a life with God.
Well, the way that we got the relics, there's a little bit of provenance here. Part of the history says that the Capuchins themselves collected relics in their churches. This was a tradition that they had, especially German Capuchins. So they encouraged people to give their relics to the church. On the side of the parishioners or the people, it is said that many of them brought these relics over from Germany with them. They brought them as someone would bring a crucifix or a rosary or a very valuable possession that they really cherished. And some of these were saints that their families had prayed to. Others of them were relics that had been passed down through the generations, and they brought them and they prayed to these saints for safe passage on the boat that brought them to America. When they got here, it was always a tradition, a part of that tradition was in Thanksgiving to donate the relics to the local church. Well, we were the local church. So people donated their relics to the church in Thanksgiving. We still have that happening today. I just got a relic this past year from a parishioner who donated a relic of St. Elizabeth Ann Seton to the church. So that's how we got our 200, at last count there were 225 different saints.
People from the earliest days want to be close to the martyrs. Okay, because they were willing to stand up and give their life for their belief in Christ and their belief in the church. Okay, and they wanted to be close to them. And we do that in civil society. I mean, how often do you go in and you see pictures of the presidents, or now you have people who want to buy this on auction, So relics are a bit more than that, but they're akin to that, because again, they put us in touch with the person, but the person puts us in touch with God, because the saint makes no sense apart from God.
A relic should always come with a certificate of authenticity. And it says who the relic is of and that it is certified. Now, all these here are in Latin, and we have more in the front. But this one here is in English, the one for St. Elizabeth Ann Seton. And this was done in 1975. And it says that this relic is from her body, which means that it is a first-class relic and that it is contained in a round medal. And this is a piece of round metal right here. Now, relics traditionally have been always on a red background, and the name of the saint is always printed in Latin. This was the one that was recently donated just last year. But we have some wonderful relics. We have small pieces of relics, very small slivers or chips of bones, first-class relics, a few second-class relics, and maybe a few third-class relics. The two that we have upstairs that we have the most of are St. Faustus and St. Valentine. They came in 1890, and the history of the parish says that these two relics arrived in small little boxes. They called them sarcophagi, that had, and we still have them, and they're still in those sarcophagi, and they arrived in March of 1890. They came from Rome. Now, they were both certified. St. Valentine's had said that it was certified back in 1760. Provenance tells us they don't know, the church doesn't know too much about St. Valentine because there were a number of saints named Valentine. Now, is this the St. Valentine of St. Valentine's Day that we have here? I like to think so. And that's what I tell people. Can we prove it 100% positively sure, right on the dot, no questions asked? I don't think we ever could. St. Faustus was also a martyr. They were both martyrs. And not much is known about St. Faustus. He was martyred in Rome with 25 other martyrs, and all we have is his name. We don't know when he was martyred. We don't know how. But we do have his bones, and we have his skull, too.
And again, most of the early relics are from the martyrs because they're the ones who shed their lives for the faith. They shed their blood. And there's the old saying that, again, the blood of the martyrs is the seed of the faith. And from all those, grew great faith. Some of the more important ones are interesting ones, and some of the ones that we have the certificates for. There's from the bones of St. Anthony of Padua, the bones of St. John Chrysostom. Again, he's a bishop, again, from the Eastern Church. There's a relic of the bones of St. Gregory Nazianzus, one of the, again, early fathers of the church. Then there's a whole group of them that are Franciscan saints. They're all grouped together. And again, they're all first and second class relics. Even with now, for example, St. Francis, you'll see it says De Cineribus, of the ashes of Francis, because his body corrupted very quickly because he was so sick and taking so poor care of himself.
The church that is here present was built in 1886. And these altars, these three altars, the side altar dedicated to Mary, the main altar, and the other side altar dedicated to St. Joseph, were constructed here inside the church, for this church, by three Capuchin brother monks. They were built out of oak. And these contain the relics. Now, these altars were built specifically to house the relics that had accumulated in the parish. And the way they did that was very ingenious. The relics were housed in this way. What you do is you just spin the pictures around, and you can see that the relics are now displayed, and there are a number of relics.
I think the important thing to remember most about relic isn't really the relic itself, but who it puts us in touch with, and that is with a saint who was in touch with God in a special way. And that's the important thing about the relics. It isn't the, we have this relic or that relic, okay? But it helps us focus on this saint or that saint, how they lived their lives and how they grew in holiness, that we too might imitate them and grow in holiness. And that's the real key, that they're there as sort of a tangible thing for us to be able to help inspire ourselves to greater holiness in terms of living.